Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, use their cloud services in a much more productive way than we do, farming OG sports phone calls. That's a great use of server space out there, taking all those phone calls from the weekend. In Clerks, when they show up and they say, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Well, that was my general attitude for Monday's show. My general attitude was, I expect Duke to beat Virginia. State should handle business against Notre Dame. Oh, wait, no. So I guess we do have to talk about State and Duke before the State-Duke game with a little sprinkle of Carolina in the mix. So, yeah, I saw what happened. I was over at Wake Forest. I did not watch the Notre Dame game because I was out at the factory for my kids' CHL playoff experience. Joe, you'll be happy to know that the Junior Canes 14U Red American squad learned a harsh lesson in war machines. Sometimes that other team is just better than you, man. We played that Hampton Roads Warriors team 6 times this season. 6. 4 times in the regular season. We tied them once, 2-2. That was the first game we played against them back in September. We proceeded to lose every game to them after that. And we were up 2-0. And then they just flipped the switch, man. It was ridiculous. Impressive to see. So salute to the CHL 14U Elite Division champions, Hampton Roads Warriors. 47 games in the books.
But you didn't have to travel to do it.
No, we didn't have to do it.
Okay.
We didn't have to do it. These boys played 47 games. We were in 6 tournaments. They showed up in 5 championship games, man. It's good times. And thank God there's no OG sports phone.
How old are they?
14. 47 games. Thank God there's no OG sports phone for youth hockey, though. I might have called to complain about officiating. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, shout out to the boys. Shout out to Shane. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Nick. Another great, successful season in the books. We'll see what happens next year, Joe. Speaking of being in the books, this is ultimately why I wanted to come in today. The big reason why I wanted to come in today is that our guy, James Curl, called the sports phone.
The man who actually has his finger on the pulse has always been our avatar for NC State fandom.
I think in the nearly 3 years of doing this show, and in the 2 years we've been doing the sports phone as a bit, I believe this is the first time Curl is called. And for those who don't know, we've known James for a very long time. Yeah. James is a technician legend over at NC State. I spent a lot of time with James at Witherspoon Student Center back in the day. You would describe James as probably the most rational State fan we know.
He's pretty rational.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, he could get fired up. And as Debbie Yao used to say, I knew when James was drinking. But I think I could tell on Twitter when James was drinking.
You don't say. Huh. He would drop so many F-bombs that he actually lost a freelance gig with our old place because he cursed too much.
I didn't realize that was the...
Back when he was drinking the Miller High Life. But neither heard it. The point is, I was like, well, damn, we got to do a show today because James called.
Hey, Joe. It's Curl. Is it weird that I really dislike one of the best teams in school history? This team just irritates the ever-loving shit out of me sometimes, I swear. Seems that way to Will as well. He just, I don't know. I'm left scratching my head after this one, and I think a lot of folks are. Love the show. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
He doesn't know how to process what happened in Notre Dame in overtime on Saturday night.
I've advanced to people that this is not a likable NC State team. Now, before we, sweep and paint with a broad brush as to why this team is unlikable. This works both ways, right? Like we've talked about how the players, it's a transient nature to college basketball.
Yeah.
You're Darian Williams, you're on your 3rd team in 5 years, right? Like, why would he care about NC State? Why would he care about playing Carolina? Why would he care about how they do in the ACC? You know what I mean? Like, just as a general overall arching questions, and you can apply that to every school. So it works both ways. Like when you have these players who are so transient, then as the fans, you don't know these players. Literally the only player you know or have any familiarity with is the one who, quite frankly, is the biggest lightning rod on the team in Quadir Copeland.
Yes.
Like, everyone loves Quadir when he's on your team.
Right.
But the only reason you knew about him is because he was like Syracuse's 8th banana 3 years ago and comes here, hits like 2 shots. Meanwhile, Chris Bell hits about 9 of them. But somehow we remember Copeland and not Bell, right? Because players like that, like Q, here's an idea. You scored a layup against Notre Dame on a Saturday, random Saturday in the middle of the regular season.
Right.
Not every basket needs to be.
Yes.
We just won the NCAA tournament. Not every basket is your shining moment.
There's a lot of NFL wide receiver down a couple of scores, first down antics.
Oh, there's a reason that State fans and Duke fans to this day can remember Jason Capel for putting up the 3 goggles down 50 at Cole Fieldhouse.
I always remember Rayshon Terry lingering and enjoying a 3-pointer in Dayton during an NCAA tournament game in which they lost to George Mason. So it's like, whoa.
So it works both ways. There's no familiarity with these players.
Yes.
So it's tougher to say, man, remember that time when he beat such and such? Remember that time he hit that shot against such and such? So we don't have background with these players. So I think just by nature, these teams are going to be quote unquote unlikable. Then you throw in the personality of Copeland, which is obviously a lightning rod. You throw in what is seemingly indifference from Darian Williams, who is the highest paid player on the team, who quote unquote makes winning plays, but checks notes, shot an air ball on a perfectly clean look at the end of regulation in this game. So it's one of those deals. And then you have the will portion of it, which I think Curly Fry references here. You love Will in the offseason when he's talking his talk and saying the reckoning and promising the ass kicking and promising you're going to get more and all the other things that he promised. You love all that.
Yeah.
You might even like it when he quote unquote puts me in my place. You might even like that.
Oh, there are a lot of people who enjoy that.
You might even like that.
Yeah.
But the theatrics, the Shakespeare in the Park, I think that's what's begun to grate on a lot of people. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, you can try all these things and do all these things, but the truth of the matter is, kind of sort of just want to see you win.
Yeah.
Or here's the baseline: not even win, compete, and appear like you care. And there's a big disconnect with this team and a fan base that I said when Will was hired. They don't like this kind of talk because NC State's the underdog. NC State's the team with the chip on their shoulder. NC State's not the bully. NC State's the feel-good story. Well, that's what they want to be.
Where I will push back on that is, yes, that has been NC State's MO. I'm looking at the Julius Hodge bobblehead back there since Julius Hodge has been top of mind from last week because of the whole, Ray Felton, Rashad McCants workout drama, right? Julius Hodge was the epitome of that.
Yes.
The epitome of that. Okay. But that's not what State fans wanted anymore. The whole point of hiring Will Wade is that you came in here and you became the bully for the tough neighborhood, that you were the one, you were bringing the reckoning that, hey, Carolina, your time is over while you're trying to figure out what happens post Roy Williams. Okay. Duke is a different matter altogether. But what you're hitting on is the thing that I have struggled with. So that, I'll just leave it at that. I know what you're saying, but I'm also pointing out that there's a good portion of the fan base that wants to put that identity behind them. And Will Wade was a sign or the coming of that change in mentality. Okay. And I'm not going to fault State fans for wanting that. I'm also not going to fault Will Wade for at least dropping that blood in the water to get the people going, to kind of reset the fan base. Where you and I will agree, though, is that it's almost like we're speed running the Chuck Amato stuff, where Chuck was big and boisterous and he had the sunglasses and the alligator shoes and all this other kind of stuff. And you notice when things got tight, all that stuff went away, but it was too late. And now all of a sudden we're doing the same thing, and that all the theatrics and the technicals and all that kind of stuff, that works when you win. But here's where we get into the disconnect. I know I can see it already, but we're historically having one of the best seasons we've ever had. Well, yes, if you're married to the metrics. If you're married to the metrics and you don't really watch the games, well, then yes, you come away thinking, man, we're having a great year, all things considered.
Historic also completely ignores how the ACC has changed, not only in membership,
There's that.
but in the format of the scheduling.
Yes. So there's that aspect as well. But here's the thing, metrics aside, what about this team and what you've seen gives you the confidence that they can go win multiple games in the ACC tournament? What have you seen from this group, metrics aside, that paint a nice rosy picture? What have you seen that tells you once they get into the NCAA tournament, they won't have the bottom drop out at the worst possible moment, like we've seen a handful of times already this season against teams that you should take care of business against? Which gets us to another call that I thought was very much on point and from another regular.
Do you know how much I fucking hate metrics people who make people who are upset over losing to fucking Notre Dame feel like they're idiots because the metrics still say we're okay? Well, those metrics people must only give a shit about making the tournament, because all the metrics have done so far this year is we've tricked the metrics so that we look better than we are. This is what I don't understand. But metrics people want to talk down to people who have actually put their eyeballs on this team and been like, what the fuck are we watching? I mean, a metrics person obviously is only concern is about getting into the fucking tournament. We didn't hire Will Wade to just get into the fucking tournament. We are an eyesore. We're an eyesore this year. And anytime you mention that things look like shit is that you get metrics thrown into your face, and they want you to think that you are the bad person for not really seeing, because you are seeing them as bad, while metrics show that they're good. Well, we're not good. So, all you metrics people, just eat shit and fuck off.
You know what? Steve, I'm standing up. Steve, standing up. Standing up. Steve. Salute. Salute to you, sir. My goodness. I have no notes on that. No notes from Steve. One more call before we bring on Patrick Stevens.
What's up, guys? This is Joe in Philly. I'm aware that I may be the only Triangle sports fan who was watching Pitt and Cal this past Saturday, because pretty meaningless game on the surface. But I'm glad I was watching it for a few minutes because Joe Lunardi was in attendance, and eventually they brought him on the broadcast. I don't really understand why he was there, but they explained that currently Cal is the last team in the field, and so Joe's here, and he's going to talk to us about his bracket and, you know, who's on the bubble and all that good stuff. And Joe proceeds to say the quiet part out loud in more ways than one about the ACC. He basically explains and kind of goes on like a mini diatribe during the game about how, you know, once upon a time, the ACC was the best league in the country, and now it's just not that anymore. And he was referring to, like, the original ACC during his comments. He was talking about, like, growing up. He understood the ACC to be the best league. And, you know, now it's not that anymore, and it's just, you know, it's really fallen off, and it's going to have to get back to something like that in order to be thought of as, you know, a premier conference in the country. And I'm thinking, so in order for the ACC to be given, like, their just due in a modern day bubble conversation, they have to, like, have Michael Jordan and have Ralph Sampson and have, like, multiple schools winning titles in the same decade. I don't really, like, understand what he was trying to say. It was pretty clear, like, ribbing of, like, all the, you know, Lunardi haters from the ACC, I guess, going back to the Wake Forest stuff, like all the different incidents there have been of him slighting the ACC. I think he was trying to say, you know, he was trying to rub it in a little bit and just kind of say, you guys just aren't what you were, and therefore you're going to be subservient to the other big leagues, in my mind, going forward. But then he started talking about some of the teams in particular, and I got the feeling that there's nothing that can happen for the rest of the year that's going to help the ACC's case, and I will concede that all of the bubble teams in the league kind of shit the bed this weekend. State, SMU, Virginia Tech didn't get a win at Carolina. So there's a lot of evidence, on the day he was speaking that does go in his favor, but you just get the feeling that he individually, and I think a lot of national writers in general are just never going to think of the ACC as on par with the other big leagues.
No, they're not. That ship has sailed. That's never coming back. And no amount of tournament success is going to change people's opinions. Also, in the case of Joe Lunardi, we're talking about somebody who really just gets brought on to, I don't know Lunardi. I just kind of see the game for what it is. They bring him on any game possible because he's their bracketologist, and he's essentially doing a sports talk radio segment, not really doing actual discussion about the bracket.
I respect Joe Lunardi's hustle for the position in the station in life that he's gotten, and for the length of time that he's gotten.
But he's out there playing the hits.
All things. Yeah, but your conference affiliation has nothing to do with your selection in the NCAA tournament.
There's that too.
It never has.
Yeah.
Is the dirty secret. So I try not to waste any time on Joe Lunardi. Now,
also, another real quick thing about the bubble teams that he's referencing to, the ACC of what it was. Well, SMU was not in that old ACC. Virginia Tech was not in that old ACC. Oh, sure, State. If you want to bring up State in that particular case, yeah, sure. But we're talking about, it's like The Wire. The thing about the old days, they were the old days. To your point, this is a completely different era of college basketball. So why are we acting as though these two things can be compared? Conference affiliation aside, why are we talking about an era that is so far behind us? Kids weren't even born. They have no idea.
There's also a way to have a productive conversation about the ACC, which we did last week when I illustrated the difference between Duke and the rest of the ACC.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, you're going to see that again this year. The ACC is going to get a bunch of teams in this year. And if Duke is the only one that makes it to the second weekend, that should not surprise anyone.
And it's not that different.
That should not surprise anyone.
It's not that different from where we were 25 years ago, where Carolina and Duke were the ones that were ultimately carrying NCAA tournament success.
Correct.
So,
and one here and there would
sprinkle
pop up.
Maryland in there, you know.
Now, I do want to talk about the metrics a little bit.
Yeah.
In this particular sense, because I've been thinking about this because Steve had privately texted me the same kind of thoughts, and I was like, okay, I think you're right. As someone who didn't go to Louisville, as someone who didn't go to Virginia, but he did. And he went to Notre Dame. He goes to these games, he watches the team, and he interacts with a bunch of State fans. We're like, no. It's really, no, you don't see it. It's like, no. It's very similar to our current political climate where it's like, no, you don't get it. You don't see it. And it's like, no, actually, we do.
Your own line eyes, Joe. It's your own line eyes.
A certain amount of reality. But I would like to point this out about NC State. Because I was ready when they were up 7 or 8 points to put out a chart or put out another picture of Dave Doran and Will Wade. And a corporate wants you to tell me the difference between these two photos.
Okay.
Hey, you're beating the teams you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. You have a couple of dumb losses, but you nutted up in an emotional win at home over North Carolina.
Sure.
Tell me the difference.
Oh, I said that last week.
Tell me the difference.
I said that last week.
Right? So then he has to go and lose to Notre Dame. So
there's your dumb loss. Hey,
he spoiled it for
me. But that's also very Dave
One of those George 6.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's not that bad, by the way. They have a bad record.
People don't want to hear that.
They have a bad record. They got smoked by Duke, but Virginia needed overtime and should have lost to them in regulation in the same building. They're not a bad team. But that's neither here nor there. So here are the metrics. You ready? Top one. This is NC State versus the top 100 this year. In KenPom, 11-9. That's not a reckoning. NC State versus the top 75, 7-8. That's both below 500. And their record versus the top 50, 4-7. So every time NC State gets in their weight class, in there or above their weight class, they're 4-7. That's not good. No. That's not the answer. That's no one promised that, even no matter what ends up happening this season. I think what's ultimately catching up with Will now after losing to Notre Dame is NC State fans, to your point, wanted a new message. They wanted a new leader. They wanted a new Messiah. They wanted someone to tell them it didn't have to be that way. You don't have to be the underdog. You can stick your chest out. You can talk your talk, and here we come.
Yeah.
Because, hey,
we didn't get Rick Barnes to fight Dean Smith for us,
right.
But you, sir.
But I think when you don't deliver and then you have the performances that he's had, and here's the thing that I'll always tell you about when you're a good coach. It's how your team responds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Joe, that I expected you to keep up with St. John's this week. And I apologize for using who is arguably the best coach in college basketball right now as the example. But when St. John's lost to Connecticut 72-40, 32 points, what would you have expected Rick Pitino's to do in their next game?
Oh, come out and put the hammer down.
So twice we've seen NC State get embarrassed at Louisville. They come back home, lose to Miami.
Yes, in excruciating fashion.
Go to Virginia, get just pummeled.
Embarrassed.
Next game, sure enough, winning for most of it, much like the Miami game, but lost.
So lost, yeah. They gave up the lead. They can't stop anybody.
So Rick Pitino loses 72-40 to UConn the very next game. Beats a Villanova team, by the way, that's in the tournament, going to be in the tournament, 89-57.
There you go.
So when I tell you people about run it back games, when I tell you people about what good coaches do in certain situations, this is what I mean. I'm not making it up. Okay?
No, but Joe,
this is what good coaches do.
The metrics, Joe. You just don't understand. You see, we see something that you just did not see.
And we'll see what Virginia does, by the way, after getting smoked by Duke. Because I got news for you. I bet I could probably tell you what's going to happen in their next game.
Speaking of metrics, we'll go to the WOB before we bring on Patrick Stevens to bolster your point about your weight class. How are you doing against your weight class? Let's go to wins above bubble. And right now, NC State is solidly 6th in the ACC with wins above the bubble at 0.99. Essentially saying that NC State,
an average team.
NC State versus an average bubble team, they're about 1 win better than an average bubble team. Those are the metrics. Those are the metrics that people don't want to talk about. They want to point to some other stuff. Anyway, let's talk about some brackets, shall we?
See the territory, the bracket is the story. Patrick Stevens tells it like it is.
Yeah, we don't need pontificating about the old days of the ACC like Joe Lenardi. No, sir, we need Patrick Stevens, senior OG media bracketologist. Patrick, what's going on, sir?
Fellas, how are you this morning?
Good. We played an OG sports phone call. I'm going to play another one for you a little bit later on as it relates to potential tournament sites. But one of the calls that we did receive before we brought you on was something that I've been kind of trying to square with NC State. Metrics-wise, they look like they're having a decent season. WOB could be a little better. The wins above the bubble, not so hot. But ultimately, all the numbers spit out NCAA tournament team. And even you told me this morning, losing to Notre Dame was a Q2?
Q2.
So, like, in the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal.
Nope.
Except that NC State doesn't look like a team that matches what the numbers tell you when you actually watch them defensively and things like that. All of this is a lead up to how the NCAA tournament committee processes these types of things. What the numbers spit out and what happens when you actually watch a team. How much of that actually happens?
I mean, I know these committee members watch a lot of basketball, but the process is governed by the numbers as much as anything else. Now, is there things like this team just lost 8 in a row at the end of the season? That's probably the sort of thing that's inescapable to pay attention to. But by the numbers, like as you just mentioned, like NC State's in perfectly fine shape right now. I have them as the 25th at-large team on the 9 line.
Okay.
Which is to say a lot. I mean, I don't even think there's enough things that could go wrong. Now, if you want to have a conversation of how long is NC State going to stick around, that's your problem, not mine.
That's a separate conversation. And I think most people will go, yeah, I don't see this team lasting a very long time in the NCAA tournament or the ACC tournament. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I brought up with you a little bit earlier was, this is a team. Okay, they lost a couple games last week. Most teams in that neighborhood of the bracket are losing games. That's why they're 8 and 9 and 10 seeds as opposed to being a 4 or a 5 seed. And so, yeah, like NC State probably should have beaten Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
That said, there's a bunch of teams in their neck of the woods in the bracket that have the same kinds of losses that lose to lower tier teams in their conferences all the time. And here we bring up the chart, right?
There's
basically, those are the teams that I would have in right now on the 8 through 11 lines. And so Auburn, I mean, God knows, if we're talking about that as the last team in the field, like there really shouldn't be much fear of NC State falling out because Auburn's profile keeps getting worse. They're 15 and 14. You can make an argument that it's ridiculous to even have them that close. They just happen to have some decent high-end victories, all that stuff. You look at these teams, and how many of them actually had really good weeks last week? St. Mary's did, beat Santa Clara and Gonzaga, and I don't think you have to worry about the Gales as a team that you have to fret about on Selection Sunday. Missouri had a good week. And other than that, it's a whole bunch of teams that split games. And Miami, Ohio won a couple games too. And TCU won at Kansas State. So there's just, in comparison, it's not as if NC State really lost that much ground last week, even while losing those 2 games, one of which I don't think anybody's going to hold against them going up to Charlottesville and losing.
So do you think NC State's profile is closer to, say, Carolina's last year, and that the metrics will be one of the reasons that they do get in?
Yeah, and I think they're in better shape than Carolina was last year. I mean, Carolina didn't have very much to hang its hat on in terms of high-end victories. I mean, these guys have beaten Clemson, have beaten SMU, have beaten Carolina, and you've got teams like VCU and Virginia Tech that are just sort of skittering about right near the edge of the field, and they have victories over them too. So this is a team that's in much better shape relative to the rest of the field than North Carolina was at this time.
What I hear you saying is NC State should be forever grateful to North Carolina for Caleb Wilson and Henry Vessar not playing.
It certainly doesn't hurt any for the Wolfpack.
Go to the OG.shop to get your Forever Grateful merch. Hey, real quick, Patrick, I'm going to zoom and enhance here on your thing. What do I see? Dayton bound, destination Dayton. I see Santa Clara. Who's coaching Santa Clara right now?
Herb Sendek.
Where's NC State? Here on the 9?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, all right. I'm going to close out here. Let's go to the OG Sports.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
This is from a 919.
All right, Sunday morning, Michael from Tampa here. Love listening to you guys. Keeps me, connected to the triangle. But that loss is tough. But it seems like is it crazy that Will Wade has been talking down about this team for a while now? Even they went on a 6-game win streak and basically told them they'd be lucky to make it to Dayton. Like, I feel like that has to have affected their confidence in some of these close games. They pulled out close games against Clemson and SMU, and then, you lost a couple, Miami, and then this Notre Dame game. Like, I think that's got to be tough. I feel like I get Wade setting a standard, right? You got to play to the standard. But at some point, you guys have said it, you have to coach the team you have, not the team you want. He obviously wants a tougher team that will play to his standard, but at the same time, this team is still good. He's still downplayed how good this team is, and I don't know. I think it's just tough to, with the way he was talking during that 6-game win streak, and I mentioned it, and it's like, okay, they're not that bad. Like, yes, you're winning close games, but this is the ACC. There's going to be competitive games. I just feel like it's hurt this team's confidence a little bit down the stretch here. I want to get your thoughts.
So the reason why I played that call, Patrick, is because the caller correctly points out I had forgotten that Will Wade spoke Dayton into existence when he's like, we'd be lucky to get to Dayton. And now we've been joking about it with the whole Santa Clara thing, but seeing Santa Clara Dayton bound, seeing how NC State's season's gone so far, the fact that Will Wade invoked Dayton in the first place, how close are we to that?
Not close yet, but get back to me in another week or so.
I was going to say there's not much time left. So what are we talking about here? Losing tonight against Duke, doing something stupid to lose to Stanford in the last.
I mean, you would,
and then like a one and done in Charlotte.
to realistically have it happen, you would probably have to lose out and probably get a little bit of chaos too. I mean, you only have, most of these teams have somewhere between 1 and 5 games left, roughly.
Okay.
Like there's only so much movement that you're going to make. You've played 29 right now. 3 games isn't going to make that much of a difference in your overall profile. We see this all the time in terms of teams trying to move up the bracket during conference tournaments, and everyone's like, oh, well, that 6 seed made a surprise run to the conference final, but they only moved up to like the 6 or 7 line overall in the NCAA bracket. And it works the other way too. You only have so many games you can lose. And if you're NC State, like losing to Duke potentially isn't going to hurt you at all. Like everybody does that basically. So except Carolina. So in any case, I just don't see how they really tumble that far, especially since, the Georgia Tech loss is kind of garish. But beyond that, like there's not much that you're holding against them in that overall profile. I mean, they look like a team that's a 9 seed plus or minus a line.
I'm just looking at Auburn's profile.
It's awful.
But
it's awful.
Look at those wins.
The wins are great.
Look at those wins.
Great wins.
There have only been 2 teams in tournament history that have gotten at-larges being 2 games over 500. 1991 Villanova and 2001 Georgia.
Georgia. My God, Jim Herrick. Yeah.
So, and that was a great strength of schedule team, just like this Auburn team is. But you start looking at the teams that are the next group. We're talking VCU, which doesn't have a quad 1 win. We're talking about Indiana, which has imploded. Virginia Tech, which took another loss over the weekend. California, which did the dumbest thing imaginable and lost at home to Pitt. And then you start getting into the next group of teams like Southern Cal and San Diego State. It's really, really bleak at the edge of the field this year. And it sort of makes you hope for a surprise winner in the West Coast Conference or a surprise MAC champion or a surprise A-10 winner.
Patrick, getting into my favorite time of the year. They got to put 68 teams in the field. That's what they got to do. So, hey.
So, you said Miami, and I get it. They're not, blazing through these games. They're kind of barely escaping in some examples. Ohio. I think it's ridiculous that it was even a conversation that they could get left out of the tournament at this point. Like there
has never been a team with more than 28 victories that has been left out of the field.
That's footballification.
Yeah.
That's all that is. The Miami Ohio conversation.
Bruce Pearl running his mouth about they don't belong
compared to his kids' team.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Who we just talked about.
Yeah, like I was going to say, Bruce Pearl is doing as much as he can to distract you from the fact that he left his kid a perfect opportunity for only, like most instances where the kid has to take over for the dad, light it on fire, right? So let's not talk about that and let's focus on Miami. But I do think that's the hot takeification that we learned from college football, where it's like, well, these teams don't belong in the college football playoff. So, because we got this history as if the NCAA tournament isn't littered with examples where teams come out of nowhere to surprise you and make it to Final Fours,
Yeah, and I do happen to think at this point Miami, Ohio is in the field for sure.
Sure.
I frankly doubt that they lose more than twice at all. I mean, they might lose once this week, but it certainly wouldn't stun me if they got through a perfect regular season and then lost in the conference tournament, just because we've seen that happen enough times over the years where a mid-major's flying high and gets its wings clipped there. But yeah, that you're 29-0, you're going to find your way into the field. And if it's as a 9 or a 10 seed, so be it. But that's a team that, you don't lose. Like, you kind of have earned your place in there, right?
Yeah. Well, technically on the team sheet, I think they'd be 26 because they played 3 D2s. But yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's silly. I just heard that commentary. And I get it. Their schedules.
It's not good. It's
gross.
It's poor.
Totally gross. And their metrics are not good, but
they're scattered around. There's a few of them that are actually
games. What do you want to do? You won a bunch of games, man. Like at some point, the winning does matter. Patrick Stevens, you can check out the entirety of the bracket. You're updating like every other day, almost daily at this point.
It's going to be pretty much daily the rest of the way through.
Awesome. So head on over to oviesandgiglio.com. You can check out Patrick's bracket, which is updated daily. And we'll check in with you on Thursday. Cool?
Thursday works for me.
All right, man. We'll set.
Looks good.
The
new setup looks good.
Hold on a second. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oviesgiglio.com, seeded territory. Let's pull this bad boy up on the YouTube.
We either need to add a timestamp, or Patrice, you need to put a timestamp at the top of your each post.
We're working on this.
Okay.
This is kind of a work in progress, but
look at that logo. Looks good.
I like that logo. Shout out to Color Graphic. Making it happen.
Yep.
Big thanks to Color Graphic over seeded territory over at oviesgiglio.com. All right, man. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Awesome. Take care, fellas.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We talked about Patrick's brackets. You can find that at oviesgiglio.com. You can also find tickets to the OG Light Bracket Night at Longleaf. Longleaf is not open on Mondays, but it will be open for us and our listeners on March 16th. Come out, hang out with us, Mitch and Mia from the Women's Basketball Podcast, which you can listen to here on our YouTube channel. You'll get a pint of OG Light. You'll get a barbecue buffet, a dessert, and just a general fun time while we record a podcast, all for $49 plus $2 in handling fees. I know that people have been excited about this, and we're excited to see you there. We'll probably have some prizes to give away as well. Some exclusive stuff.
Of course.
So that'll always be good too. So come on out to OG Light Bracket Night on March 16th. Go to oviesgiglio.com to get your tickets. You can also go to the Secret Stash, the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. Mikey P's working on our Canes pop-up shop design right now. But in the meantime, you can get the Forever Grateful collection. He's got hoodies, tie-dye shirts, bumper stickers. It's all good stuff. It's all at the OG.shop. Since today is kind of a different kind of show, we're just going to go ahead and run through our corporate champions as always. A little bit of a brought to you by Rowback. Wearing the Rowback right now. People love the Rowback hoodie, by the way.
They do.
They're big fans of the Rowback hoodie. They got new colorways. Actually, just dropped some color blocking for State and Carolina. Have you seen those yet?
I have not, but I played golf at Tobacco Road yesterday.
Yeah.
They had a really nice maroon hoodie with the Tobacco Road logo right center chest.
I am
really nice.
I'm also looking forward to getting their new button-down shirts that are coming through. It's like an Oxford shirt. So hopefully I'll get that in time for the ACC tournament. In the meantime, go to rowback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. You want a free Rowback from us? It's super simple.
Easy.
Just go get a free refinance from our friends at Miller Lending. MillerLending.com, 919-447-3377. When we say free, there's no closing costs involved. The rate is the rate, okay? This idea of...
I mean, technically, you're paying back money. So.
No, but it's a free refinance. It's kind of like your Scarlett Johansson. I'm going to refinance you, but for free. The reason why I say that is because oftentimes it'll be like, well, if you want this rate, just give us $15,000. No. That's paying for closing costs. You don't want to do that. So go to MillerLending.com, 919-447-3377. Tell them we sent you.
It was free.
It is a free refinance. It doesn't cost you anything. You get the rate. It is what it is. You get the Rowback for free. You also get a gift basket from the Butcher's Market for free.
Larry David would have a whole episode about, like, if we wrote about a podcast, like if somebody getting sued. So as we get closer to Matt Davis here, it's just like, well, why'd you get sued? Well, they said it was free.
Well, I mean, it's a free refinance. Go to the Butcher's Market, butchersmarkets.com. You get a free gift basket.
That is free
when you refinance with Miller Lending. So go to thebutchersmarkets.com. And yes, do you need a highly specific insurance policy like we do? Well, then contact Matt Davis at suregarner.com. 919-779-8277. They can do that. Call is free.
That's definitely.
You could just,
that doesn't cost you anything.
It costs you nothing. And you can save money along the way.
Costs you nothing to learn how to save money. There we go.
Exactly. So hit him up, Matt Davis, 919-779-8277 and suregarner.com. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. It's not free, but there's no contracts. That's also clutch.
Right.
Pay as you go. And look, we get this like false spring, last blast of wind. Regardless, it's looking like spring, which means the bugs are going to be out, which means you got to start getting the treatments. So hit them up today, bugsbite.com, Mosquito Authority, and Pest Authority. WH.lawyer, free consultation. Call them up. That's free too. See what you need. WH.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. They got offices across the triangle. Also, big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. More importantly, it's just about understanding the situations right now. You'll see all sorts of headlines about like sellers are outpacing buyers. Maybe there's builders and stuff. There's all sorts of stuff that can kind of muddy the perception of what really the housing market's about. A real simple thing to do is just to contact our friends at Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. Big thanks to Two Roosters. I know the original plan was to win the CHL and eat ice cream out of the cup.
Oh,
just wasn't meant to be. It's fine. It's fine. But you know what? You can eat your feelings with Two Roosters. New month means new flavors. Find out more at tworoosters.com. Again, that's tworoosters.com. Have you ever thought about putting an engagement ring in a pint of ice cream? I bet Jared would do that for you. Maybe there's a collab.
Does it ice cream?
Maybe there's a collab between Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Well, we don't want to. Somebody tells me the diamond would kind of mess up the machinery. But the point is, I bet you go to Bailey's Fine Jewelry, pick out the perfect engagement ring, and then go to Two Roosters and say, hey, is there a way to put this ring at the bottom of my future partner's favorite ice cream flavor? I bet you they'd do that for you. Look, Bailey's Fine Jewelry is a great spot. Check them out in the Village District and other locations across the Triangle. The reason why we put out the Village District in downtown Raleigh is because you also have the Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. Check out their social media channel, by the way, on Instagram. They're dropping all sorts of like watch sizzle reels, man, that really make I gotta drop by. I gotta pick this up. That looks great. They got vintage Rolex, they got G-Shocks, they got it, and they have a vintage watch event taking place on March 20th and 21st. Find out more at baileybox.com. Big thanks to our friends at Brassfield Accounting, brassfieldaccounting.com. For our OG listeners, if you haven't thought about doing your taxes yet, hey, it's about crunch time now. It's March.
Please.
It's March. It's time. It's time to start thinking about this stuff. And if you're a little overwhelmed, no big deal, because that's what Chris does. He makes sure that you do not feel overwhelmed, whether it's being a fractional CFO for your small company or doing your personal taxes as an OG listener. So hit him up, brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. And we will be live tonight from Lenovo Center for an OG After Dark, brought to you by our friends at Bloom & Blinds. You can check them out online at bloomandblinds.com. Call them directly at 919-980-9815. Again, that's 919-980-9815. All right, let's go back to the OG sports phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, this is from a 919.
I don't know, guys. You buy a new piece of furniture, you set it up, and now the Will Wade bed is just collecting your old sweatpants.
I mean, that's real. It's like, I got this Peloton. Cool. What is it now?
I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to use it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This is from a 336. This is the kind of text we got to the OG Sports phone. I hope we missed the tournament. We don't deserve to be there. I hate watching this team. Okay, like these are some emotional texts that came through. This is my personal favorite from a 252. I'm sorry for everything I said to you guys. What the fuck was that? From a 704. This team is soft. Soft as baby shit. Will Wade is a clown. Used car salesman. Again, here's another one from a 252. First time texter. Good riddance to Will Wade. Enjoy Baton Rouge 2.0. Dude couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag.
Do you think there is something to this job is harder than I think he thought it would be? Like, you don't say the things he said without thinking, man, I'm going to go in there. We're going to do this. We're going to have the success and we're going to make it work. And then he got here and he realized,
I think you and I have done as good of a job as we can today to not go full, like, told you so on some things. But what you're referencing is something that I've always found fascinating about this entire experiment of, like, this is different than anything else you've done in your coaching career.
He settled most of these things too. Like, because at VCU, when you're at VCU, you're the top job in that league.
Yes.
And you may not have a better roster. You probably have better players, but you may not have like a 1 through 10 better roster.
Mm-hmm.
But you usually have the most competitive team that you could possibly have in that league, right? McNeese last year, he even said, like, I mean, come on, guys. Like, we had like actual major players and no one else did in our league. So I get that. But like, I think he really thought this formula that he had to compete in the ACC, the metric formula, the analytical formula, he was going to reinvent basketball and, just put everybody by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting when you watch Virginia and you watch Miami, two first-year coaches who started in the same place, build better rosters. No, they've had similar success other than him losing to those teams.
Yeah, other than
but I'm saying they're having similar seasons.
They are.
Virginia is obviously, don't go mad at me now, Virginia people, that you're having a better season than NC State. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm getting at is, for the most part, you're having a very similar season to NC State and Miami.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Because there's what's unsaid here is Duke and Carolina are here in terms of advantages over you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think he's been in that situation before. At LSU, the league hadn't risen to where it is now. And there was Kentucky, of course.
Of course.
But when you go back and look at what he was recruiting at LSU, he was recruiting top 10, top 20 players. And that's how he was trying to beat Kentucky at its own game. Now he's trying to compete with Duke and compete with Carolina by, building a different analytical mousetrap. And it's not working.
From a 980, NC State doing a whiteout tonight and giving away white towels for the first 10,000 fans. Nothing like the visuals of 10,000 people waving white flags on the season.
Well,
let's go back to the sports foe.
Is anyone here concerned that Will Wade has only won at a Power 4 level when he's been able to cheat? VCU, Chattanooga, and Mississippi State aren't exactly the big leagues. He won at LSU cheating. Now he's at NC State, and he's choking away wins versus Notre Dame. Get real.
I mean, that implies that no one else was quote unquote cheating, including Duke, who's, all of the Zion stuff. Heck, go back to Chris Duhon. Look at Mama Hansbrough. Like, come on, guys. You're really drawing a line in the sand here about what is quote unquote cheating and what is not in college basketball.
If there's better ways to make that point about his previous stops, and
I think
leagues,
I just did, but
right, that's what I'm saying. There's better ways to do it. You just did the whole the cheating stuff. I mean, guys, let's not be naive about how college basketball works. Let's go to a 919.
96 points. 96 points. Those little Irish dweebs. They scored, 45 against Duke, and we give up 96 points? That little whatever. He had 4 fouls with 15 minutes left, and we don't get him fouled out? You don't go after him once? Just fucking embarrassing. Jesus.
Now, I will say, unlike there's two things from the game itself. Unlike the Miami game, I thought Will had the players in a position to win that game in regulation. I didn't feel like he shirked his responsibility as the head basketball coach during the final 5 minutes of that game. On the other hand, you got big Cro-Magnon coach energy coming out of that game because all of those people who say, why don't you just go zone? How many times did we get, the suggestions to how to fix NC State and Kevin Keys? Well, why don't you try this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
And it's like Notre Dame literally, after just getting pelted in the first half, kind of counterintuitive after giving up a bunch of threes to say, I'm going to go zone. But the reason the threes were open, it was a drive and kick situation. And quite frankly, they couldn't guard Copeland. They couldn't guard Williams. They couldn't guard Lubin.
Yeah.
So what they did was they went zone and just dared NC State to make open shots, and they couldn't, which sounds a lot like Will Wade's strategy.
Yes, and that's the thing. And Will Wade said it after the game. Live by the 3, die by the 3, which is ... what we did tonight, which is, again, something that it's been bubbling under the surface of this year in relation to how they're going to win these basketball games. And people can point out what their average point production is per game, but more importantly, look at their defensive production, which is not very good.
They're a terrible defensive basketball team.
They're a terrible defensive basketball team.
It was clear from the very first time they took the court this season.
So it's like, Okay, so tonight against Duke, okay, what's the game plan? You got to make all these threes. I mean, that's really what it is tonight. Like, because like, what was it? For like the Duke, for the Carolina State game a while back, I had a listener be like, how are you not doing preview for tonight? I'm like, what is there to preview? Like you're missing 2 guys. Like, just go take care of business and see what happens, which they did. Okay. Well, same with tonight with the Duke State game. Oh, what's your preview for tonight? Hey, State, you want to win? Make all your fucking threes, because that's the only way it's going to happen.
So 2 things about tonight. First of all, man, I told you on Thursday, the only way to win tonight was to lose at Notre Dame. That was the only way.
Is this some law of the wolf shit?
That was the only way, because you need a James Curl to give up. You need a Steve Young.
So now
to
you're
give
going to
up.
bring them back.
The only way to get them
back. Now you'll bring them back.
Is to knock off Duke. But if you go back to man, I made some Duke fans upset on this weekend. My gosh, Duke fans. I was rooting for you on Saturday. I was happy for your success for once on Saturday. And you get mad at me because I point out that one of Virginia's bigs picks up 2 fouls in 7 minutes on Saturday. And the game effectively ended when Tista Ritter went to the bench.
Mm-hmm.
People, calm down. It's just pointing out what happened. Same thing against Michigan. Yes, Boozer got into foul trouble in the second half, but in the first half, when Michigan was tripping over their dicks because their big guy was on the bench, that was beneficial to you.
Yeah.
These are all things. When you played Carolina and Boozer was on the bench in foul trouble, it was beneficial to Carolina. Going back to State's game against a blue blood that we actually saw them play against a full-fledged blue blood, unlike the Carolina team that was missing 2 of their best players. When State played Kansas, do you know what was really important when State played Kansas? Kansas big man Badunga picked up 2 fouls in about 4 minutes and did not play the rest of that first half. And that was instrumental in NC State being able to defend Kansas. So as I point these things out, Duke fans, it's not some sort of conspiracy theory. It's a reality. When bigs get into foul trouble, it changes the tenor of a game. Like, you would think I'm trying to explain how to fucking connect your Discord account to the YouTube. I'm not trying to launch the shuttle here, people. I'm trying to point out foul trouble is a real thing.
Your first mistake is engaging with Duke fans on Twitter. They may actually be worse than the State burnerverse.
Whoa.
They might be. Let's go to an 828. Speaking of Duke.
Hey, Joe's Duke fan, Jake, calling in the hours after Duke. Thanks, Ryan Odom, for visiting. Welcome to the league. Welcome to Cameron. Here's a 26-point loss for the big build noon game on the 4-letter network. But mentally, I moved on around halftime, and we just belted them even more in the second half. So I was already thinking about the State game. And Giglio, your theory about Duke needing to lose to State and Raleigh to win in Indy, has a lot of merit. And I'm wondering if Wade might throw the game because he doesn't want that to happen. I don't know. Is that I could see anything happening. Will Wade, tough neighborhood, as your man Gott said. Will Wade playing chestnut checkers, losing to Notre Dame? I just don't know what's going on. But I will be in the building at the Lenny for PNC, RBC, Centura. I still call it PNC, the Lenny. And excited for my first away Duke State game. Heard it's going to be lit. And, maybe I'll see you guys there. I expect Duke to win by double digits because State can't defend they defend like a JV team from what I saw at Notre Dame, but who knows, man. Claudia Copeland, he's got big stones and anything could happen. That's the law of the wolf, I guess. I don't know exactly what that is, but go Duke. Look forward to hopefully a good game on Monday night.
I enjoyed the conspiracy theory, throwing games and trying to counteract law of the wolves and, all sorts of stuff. You know what? I appreciate that the audience is in on the ridiculousness of overthinking simple basketball games. Also, what I would say too, you're talking about Duke fans and yada, yada, yada. I was actually saying this to Kelly the other day where I said, tell me ACC or tell me it's college basketball season. We're really focused on college basketball season without telling me. And the way that happens and the way I know is how feisty are people in the comments. How feisty are people? Everybody's running hot right now. Emotions are running high. It's almost like college basketball still matters in this market. Huh.
That's weird.
That's really strange. Maybe you should play the hits. We'll continue to do that. Let's go to another Duke call.
Duke just motherfucked Virginia. Holy crap. And the shot clock violation, chef's kiss. New notes. Go Duke.
Yeah, speaking of the shot clock violation, Alan called in.
Alan from the Note. After today's game against Duke, I just don't know. I mean, I don't think we had any shot clock violations. I was excited by the hire of Ryan, but I just think it's time for change. I mean, forever grateful, but he's got to go. Call Herb Simdick.
One more.
I mean, we took a step closer, right?
Let's say
no, not to the end, but getting our Herb Bowl.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
We are definitely going to be in Dayton if they play Herb in Dayton. Because remember, the comp we've had all along. No,
Joe,
remember.
I don't know if I can go to Dayton twice.
You can
in 30 days.
Because remember, the comp we've had all along for this state team is Carolina 25. And where did Carolina's 25 postseason begin? In Dayton.
Hey, I wonder if I can contact. I'm sure Witt could put me in contact with a brewery for us to do a show from Dayton.
Absolutely.
Do Warped Wing was the one I went to, which is actually a pretty good spot. One more Duke call from a 336.
Hey guys, first time caller, but I've been listening for a couple years now. Love the work y'all do. But you don't get enough Duke fans calling in, and we got to talk about Duke after the stretch they've been on. Giglio, glad we were able to further your UVA hate agenda with a big win in Cameron today. Really big win, secured the ACC regular season title. This team's just turned into an absolute monster on defense, and it's been awesome seeing how much they've grown over the course of the season. I think this is probably at least the third of Scheyer's 4 teams that's shown sort of that in-season growth where they're playing their best basketball in February, rounding into form. Scheyer once again showing that he's got the potential to be an all-timer once he gets some longevity. Which really brings me to my main point, and I know this isn't something that people want to hear, but if Scheyer doesn't win ACC Coach of the Year this year, I think it basically proves that there's an anti-Duke agenda among these ACC voters. Last year, Scheyer went 22-1 against the ACC, destroyed teams by like 20 on average, didn't get it. Coach K won his last Coach of the Year award in 2000. You're telling me the GOAT didn't deserve it once in his last 22 years?
No.
Coach K only got it 5 times during his entire tenure. If you're the coach at Duke, it's as hard to win an ACC Coach of the Year award as it is to win a national championship. It's insanity. I mean, Hubert Davis got this award, for God's sake. It's ridiculous. Looking forward to hearing y'all's thoughts.
So what? Up until Duke's only lost 12 times in 4 years so far with John Scheyer as head coach since he's taken over. I think it's 12 times
in the league. You mean
in the league? Sorry, in the league, he's only lost 12 times in 4 years.
Okay,
I think that's the case. I think that's the stat. And yes, that conversation around ACC Coach of the Year and the fun fact of when the last time Mike Krzyzewski won it, the last time Roy Williams won it, is pretty comical. And the voting is basically boiled down to this. The ACC Player of the Year tends to be the best player on the best team. Okay. Right. And that's going to go to Cam Boozer. Nobody's going to deny that. It's also interesting, too. Here's where I would make the case for John Scheyer as ACC Coach of the Year, because we all recognize how monstrous that team was last year. Scheyer is never going to win ACC Coach of the Year with that war machine, right? When you got Cooper Flagg and Colin Knippel and Mal Watch and everything else. But a funny thing happened over the weekend when they destroyed Virginia. Did you know that on KenPom, they're actually rated higher? This Duke squad is rated higher at this point in the season than last year's Monster squad. Think about that. Scheyer has a team that everybody objectively understands is not as good as last year's team. And yet, they're having a better season against a, again, objectively speaking, better ACC. So voters are going to have to square. And I can already see the comments now. Stop riding Scheyer's dick. Stop glazing Duke. I'm just asking you, what does the dude need to do for you to recognize maybe he knows what he's doing? With an objectively inferior squad to last year's group,
That's a fair point.
A better year.
That's a fair point. And I think
against a better ACC.
And I saw Cam Boozer on their socials talking about how they had to replace 5 starters from last year's team.
So, again, I would just like people to square that for me and explain how Scheyer isn't the ACC coach.
Have you ever actually looked at like who wins the ACC?
Oh, it's always it's going to be Ryan Odom this year. By the way, I'm calling it right now. It's going to be Ryan Odom.
Well, they've changed the voting structure because it used to be Virginia very heavily skewed towards North Carolina and Virginia.
Yes,
like I didn't realize Tony Bennett won the award 4 times in 6 years.
Well, I mean, look how they did it against tough neighborhood Joe.
Oh, some of those were certainly warranted, but like Dave Odom won it a bunch of times.
Yeah, usually goes
Paul
to
Hewitt,
goes to the team.
Dave Lato. Yeah, Virginia definitely had the books cooked a little bit.
Well, I mean,
Seth Greenberg won it twice. I'm saying the state of Virginia.
Yeah,
there was an imbalance, but since they've gone to the actual panel voting, I mean,
Josh Pastner won it, and he called his shot. He won 2 ACC games and said, "Hey, man, people said I wouldn't win more than 2 ACC games." And what happened, Joe? She called his shot after beating NC State, actually.
Yeah.
Let's go to a 919.
Don't worry, Wolfpack fans. That game against Notre Dame doesn't count. Remember? They're without their leading scorer. So as a Carolina fan, before the Virginia Tech game tips off, I understand this might get me in trouble. But if you guys are willing to cede that the Carolina game didn't count, I don't know if you guys would do that, though. That's your only basketball game win in the last 20 days. Oof. Stop pissing down your leg. I was really looking forward to the Thursday matchup in the ACC tournament with Caleb Wilson and Baysar back. But, oh well, Will Wade in those road games, man, dynamite.
I love this area, man. Let's go. It's Paul called it, of course.
Hey guys, it's Paul. I don't know if this phone call is going to get through the what I can only imagine is the openly weeping on the Will Wade bed phone calls you've been getting since this Saturday afternoon. But did just want to call in and say good win for the Tar Heels. Look good against Virginia Tech. Like that, getting ever closer to Caleb Wilson's return, I do believe. So that's great. Also, hey, might be time to have a conversation. What's Will Wade actually done in his first year? Huh? Because you look at that Carolina win, you look at the context of them not having Caleb Wilson or Henry Vassar, and then you look at the rest of what's happening around that game and just most of the season. Will, is this what a reckoning looks like? I reckon you should probably pack your bags for Baton Rouge, friend. It's going to get ugly around here.
You know what? I was still a Debbie Downer that night. I should probably bring back that call from the person who called in. I played twice. Like, why are you such a wet blanket? Maybe I'm not looking like a wet blanket anymore. 252.
Hugo Tar Heel, biggest Hubert hater on the block, but I'll give it to him. He's done a hell of a job this year. I'm sure I'll have a few beers after he does next loss, and I'll call in and talk about how much I hate him, but for right now, I'll give him his props. Got us going. Hopefully they can take that momentum into the ACC tournament, whether we're seeded number 2 or number 8. Who fucking knows right now? But looks like maybe around 5 might be where it's going to land. Heading to the Queen City for the ACC tournament next week. So you guys going to be up there. What are some good eating and drinking spots that me and the guys should go hang out at? You guys are hardened vets of the game, so didn't know if you guys had some hidden gems to check out. Appreciate y'all.
Well, my plan is to get out to the Thirsty Beaver at some point. I don't even know where the Airbnb is. Hopefully, it's nearby the Thirsty Beaver, where you get your cheap beers.
It's a chain, but we like the Rhino Cafe. Is that what it's called?
Rhino Market.
Yeah,
Rhino Market
for breakfast for sure.
Actually, it was pretty. Are we back in the same spot?
I think it's in the same neighborhood as we were for the tournament last year.
Okay,
but not where we were for the kickoff, because it says it's walkable to Uptown.
Okay.
I.e.,
we can see Uptown.
No. Remember last year for the tournament, I was able to walk.
Yeah, you're a sicko.
And save us $40 a day. That was nice.
Yeah, because I ended up getting the parking pass.
You did get a parking pass. That was good.
I should be getting a parking pass again.
Hopefully, Andy will take care of us.
I hope so too. All right, one more call before we say goodbye. This is from a 931.
Nice. This is Mike from Chattanooga, former 911 or 919 resident. What's up with NC State? Looks like we'll be pissing on the Will Wade bed tonight. Is State trying to play their way back onto the bubble so they can get a lower seed? That way, if they win the first game, it might look more impressive. Giglio was always my go-to guy in the N&O back when I lived there. He always had something worth reading. And I read you too, some Ovies, but not as much. You're pretty good too. I would like to respond to something Ovies said regarding Giglio. He said Giglio's looking for a magic bullet. One does exist. It's called carbon 60 in an oil base. Look it up. Get some. Try it. I like Ken Schwartz at purplepowercarbon60.com or Max and Phil at Live Longer Labs or Tom Martin at carbon60oliveoil.com. Bunch of places you can get it. Teaspoon a day, tablespoon a day. As much as you guys like to drink, you need a healthy liver. If you take carbon 60 every day, you will have a brand new stem cell cast iron liver within a few months, and your liver will be able to process alcohol better than when you were 18. I'm 72, and my liver processes alcohol better than when I was 17. Thanks for the show. Bye now.
I'm in. You know me. I don't need more. That's it.
Science. I put in a Google carbon 60, the AI overview, which I don't like to go to here, but I guess they're quoting Wikipedia. 60 carbon atoms known for its potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and potentially anti-aging properties, often used in dietary supplements or skincare to combat free radicals and support wellness. It's being studied for applications in drug delivery and cancer therapy as well. And yes, just because I looked up carbon 60, I know the next time I log into the internet, I will be getting nonstop ads about this carbon 60 stuff.
It worked with the mushroom coffees, so we'll see how.
And hey, you know what? If there's anybody out there that wants to be a corporate champion to see if this truly works for Giglio ahead of the ACC tournament, is it too late to get the carbon 60, get you loaded up on it so you can actually survive hospitality?
Oof.
A little night at the Thirsty Beaver as a true test run of the carbon 60. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thanks to all the OG Sports phone calls. We had a hell of a lot more. We could have easily done 3 hours of podcasting with sports phone calls, but I think
a lot to get into.
I think we got the gist of it. We'll be back at it tonight. for an OG After Dark, brought to you by our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. Y'all know the number. I'm sure you'll be using it tonight when who's going to throw it more? Will Wade or John Scheyer? Who needs to throw the game more, Joe? We'll find out tonight.